having you. Hi.
Hi, hi, Precious. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome to a new episode.
Mhm.
Welcome to a new episode. Little things today. I live in Nigeria. We still have light issues, so I have like a different background. Let me know in the comments if you like this background better. Maybe. All right. Okay. So welcome to
Would you?
light issue. Yeah.
Are you good? I was feeling like I'll jump in.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
we have a couple of exciting. Maybe you go first, Precious.
Yeah, very interesting stuff's happened over the week. AI news is popping up every week. Yeah. I think my story, the first thing I would like to talk about today is something that is new because, of
Mm.
course, it's still seeking for adoption, but it is not so new because I think the first time I heard it was in December. I heard some people talking about it, but then this week I saw like very popular people tweeting about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this is finally gaining some adoption. So you know
Mm.
how we have robots.txt,
Mhm.
robots.txt on normal websites, right? You know, it's
That's for the search engines, right?
yes for the
To
search
search.
engines. Yeah,
Mhm.
for the search engines. Yeah. So some people propose that we should have llms.txt for
Mhm.
agents, right? So when you have that on your website, what it does is that there's easily a way for agents to be able to for agents to have data from your website that you want them to be able to use in their own model. So let's say I want to create my own RAG. I can easily go to your own and I want to create a RAG for Tublian. I come to Tublian website, I get the data from Tublian's llms.txt, copy that data, and I can use that data to train my RAG. Now, this helps Tublian to make a particular version of their data that they want available to agents. They have it occupied, placed inside that llms.txt file, right? That way, any data that I don't want to be visible to AI agents, I will not have it inside there, so AI agents will not be able to use it. That is number one. Number two is that um, it is easier. Let's say I am trying to build a RAG, and you know how we have context window, even though from our last week podcast, we now know that context windows are getting bigger, right? I
Mhm.
can easily get because it's all the information. If I go to your website and do Control A and Control C, I'm going to copy like a lot of things that are both the ones that are necessary and the ones that are not necessary, right? But with this, these data are crunched in a way that at least once I copy them, I can easily put them it can easily fit into the context window that I'm trying to work with, or even the context window understand that okay, this file is more like a minified version. You know how we used to create minify a website and then it minifies it, something like that. So
Mhm.
that's what it does. And then
So,
there are tools. Yeah,
mhm.
go on.
No, I was thinking that is that the what's the format? It's the TXT. That means it's I think it's a text data
Yes,
document, right? I mean,
the text data documents.
so it just scraps the whole. It's just a way scraping the site, or
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it does. It scrapes the website and then gives you
uh,
the data.
I
Yeah.
see. I see. I see. I see. I feel
Yes.
like lots of sites gonna be very resistant to this.
Yeah, we've seen some adoption though, especially for developer tools. So most developer websites now have stuff like this because they want their
Mhm.
documentation to be available to LLMs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
want that.
That's a good point. That's a really
Yeah,
good point.
most of
But
them
lots
have.
of commercial sites we're not gonna allow this though,
Yeah,
because
right. Yeah. The-
one of the thing that I think is fundamentally this I think with MCP also we might have this issue because what this architecturally is doing is that we don't have to go to the end website to get the data anymore, right? We can be interacting with our agencies using MCP or LLM.txt file to get the data.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there is some interesting friction points though, right? Companies usually make money when traffic is coming to their website
Yeah.
via ads or whatever, right? Cross-selling. Since those avenues going to be closing down, there might be there might be hurdles for adoption to this. The interesting thing about the robots.txt was probably because it exposed enough content for search engine to index the site. And the interesting thing about search engines was always that search engines will bring traffic. So there was an incentive for websites to do that because, hey, Google going to send us more traffic if we do a good robots.txt file. That brings up our SEO sucks, ultimately.com. Maybe we should do something around this.
So
Maybe do an
I think
LLM.
that's also an interesting point because remember the CEO of ASIO, I think 2 weeks ago, I was listening to a podcast where he said that 3% of the people that have come to their website this year, since January, they've been getting 3% traffic from ChatGPT since ChatGPT launched the search feature that makes ChatGPT being online. So whenever people go to ChatGPT and they search things like, oh, how can I launch my website or how can I publish my website? ChatGPT recommends Vercel for them. So they've been getting a lot of traffic through Vercel. Now, my question is this. If is LLMS.txt going to help models like ChatGPT, Gemini models to store or have this information readily available for, in case when people are querying it, telling it, oh, do you have this information? How do we do something like this? Does it mean that it's also going to get more traffic for them, right? Maybe that is also an incentive for them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So for chat, I think you're absolutely right. That's a very, very good point. I was more thinking about AI agents and agentic world. In that scenario, agent is supposed to go figure things out and give you the answer, right?
Yeah.
But in the chat GPT kind of makes sense. You're searching for something, you're asking a question, chat GPT says, hey, I found an interesting, here's a summary, but here is a link where you can go and find more details. So that
Yeah.
there is definitely an incentive for that. I was just kind of curious at how this would be very different. Maybe it's because it shares all the data, makes it
Yeah.
easier for this agents. So that's nice. I hope it catches on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have there was a big another week another model release, right? So there is a big model release this time from Meta. So Meta released Llama 4, so which is their kind of state of art. There's some impressive stats on this model here. So they released two models, which is Llama 4 Maverick and Llama 4 Scout, and I think they are planning to release one more in LlamaCon. There is another AI open source AI conference is happening end of this month, I believe. I think that's where they're gonna really a lot open source another big model, Behemoth, I think, which is the parameter size of this model is crazy. So the one that they're going to release end of this month going to have 288 billion active parameters.
Wow.
So yes, so it's giant. So it has total number of parameters like 2 trillion. But the Maverick one that they released last week is optimized for coding. And like you said, this is a trend. We're going to see the context windows getting bigger and bigger, which is good for us because I must say, while building the dev agent, half of my time was involved managing the context window. So bigger context window will definitely make it easier. So it has 1 million token context window. That's so far I believe is one of the biggest out there, or I think Gemini also supports. So it's pretty big. So that will definitely help with coding. There's another thing they have done for the technical folks out there is they use this what they call is what's the name it's called here? Mixture of experts. So one way to think about this is that the architecture of Llama 4 is a little bit different. So that means so think of it that you have a So you have a big team of very, very smart cooks, let's say, okay? So
Yeah.
each cook is expert in making specific dishes, okay?
Yeah.
When an order comes in, somebody requests for, hey, I want this. You're not going to necessarily use all the cooks, right? You're going to figure out, okay, for this meal, this two cooks going to be really good for it, right?
Yeah.
So that's essentially is this idea of mixture of experts. So what they have done is that underneath Llama 4 is divided into multiple subsystems of experts. That's what this mixture of experts architecture is called. So it's not just one brain, it's multiple smaller brain, which is optimized for specific type of task. So when a request comes in, I think this is a really good optimization technique too. When the request comes in, so imagine some sort of supervisor sitting on top of that, figuring, okay, for this request, I'm going to use A and B experts to answer. So it just activates subsystems to respond to your question. So that has a couple of interesting benefits. Obviously, it allows you to handle really, really interesting hard problems. Also, it makes it efficient, right? Instead of invoking the whole giant brain every time you have a request, you just activating small part of the systems.
So does this also go for having smaller agents who are doing specific things? Can we also say that that was the same idea that was also implemented in this form of having different brains?
I don't know how. I mean, I feel like there was maybe Mixtrail had this option. I believe there was a way to configure it such a way that saying, hey, I'm gonna just only use this two experts for this particular agent. So
Yeah.
that will definitely make it efficient and smaller.
Oh, okay. This is just a side to all the conversations that we have for today, right? This is a side. Do you think that RAG is going to die? Do you think that we are going to get to a point where we don't need to build RAGs again?
I don't know, I'm not an expert in this, but my opinion is that as the context window gets bigger, I think it will we have to have a very strong reason to implement RAG because my first question is why you're going to do that. And
Yeah.
RAG on the surface looks very easy to do, but in reality, it's very, very hard to implement. When you specifically get into the point of where you have a large document, you have to do chunking. And there is no right answer for chunking. So for an example, let's say you are breaking a document. Just to understand the problem here, let's say your document have 5 paragraphs in it, right? And each paragraph is big enough that you cannot fit into one document. So every vector stored out there has a size limitation. RAG
Yeah.
usually uses some sort of database to store the data, right?
Yeah.
So you break the document into smaller chunks. Now the chunks are stored separately, right? When you ask a query, that becomes interesting. The query is asking for something that crosses between 2 paragraphs. You getting my problem here, right? So when you're sending a query, if the query matches a specific paragraph of the document, you immediately respond with that. But
Yeah.
when query spans across the boundary of paragraphs,
Yeah.
then the chunking becomes issue because you chunked it such a way that other chunk is not available, then you get half-ass answer. So that's
Yeah.
kind of a little bit of art, and it's more like an art than science. But with the large context window, I would say, who cares? I'm just gonna shovel in all the PDFs in there and
Yeah.
let LLM figure it out for me.
All right. Okay. So let's go to the next story I have for today. It's a tool. I mean, you can check it out. It's called instalog.dev. Right. I saw this guy, some guys talking about it on Twitter. I, I mean, my Twitter is back, so now I get most of my information on Twitter. I was blocked Elon Musk. I mean, I don't know what's going on X, right? I was
Oh, really?
blocked time, so I just got my account back. So that is why most of my information is there. I talk a lot about Twitter. So it's called instalog.dev. I tried sending a DM to the guy building it. So basically what they do is that they build this tool for you to be able to log. You know how you are vibe coding, you are basically depending on the log issues that the maybe Crew.ai is giving you or Gemini. I really like using Gemini to build tiny stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I only depend on Gemini log, but these guys are saying, oh, integrate us, then we log issues for you and tell you what is going on. So you can even use them also to, log and say, okay, what happens at this point? When I get to this point, what happens at this point? So I can, how we use console.log when you're writing normal coding. That's what these guys do. They pride themselves in using integration, but to be very honest, I don't think I really care about their integration time. What I care about is the fact that sometimes I, give this AI, I give it a prompt and I say, oh, help me build out something like this. And you've built it and it's not working. I'm not seeing it. And I'm giving you a prompt saying, this thing is not working. And it's telling me, oh, I fixed all issues and it is running now, but it is not running on my end, right? So I'm really excited because now I have tools that I can now say, oh, okay, let me see where this code is breaking. Let me see where it is breaking and all. Yeah, so you might want to check it out. I'm going to drop the link in the comments, in the live comments. So if you want to check it out, you can, do well to check it out. I mean, Neil, have you ever run into any issues vibe coding or using any of these tools? Oh, I forgot to don't
Many
even
issues. Many issues.
don't use them a lot.
I think there is a huge mismatch between reality and what hype we get on Twitter and other places. They
Yeah.
they sell you as like a magic list and do anything it's possible, and when in practice, I'm not
Yes.
gonna name any specific tool. In practice, when you try out, like sometimes I feel like, am I the only dumbest person who doesn't know how to use this tool, or
Yeah, it
and
feels like everybody's building the next big thing using this tool, and you're the only one is not using that is not working for you. What is-
exactly. Every time I do that, I say like, okay, it's not magic for me. It's just still struggles a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's why the context window becomes so critical. I feel like it's a game changer, larger context window. It's
Yeah.
if you have to ask me every time I see this, the model struggles. It's not the capability that it doesn't know how to code or generate a code. Most of the time, it struggles into it doesn't have enough context. When you ask
Yeah.
it to do something, it really doesn't. You have lots of knowledge about your project. It doesn't know what are you thinking. What's the more descriptive you can be, better it is. Which boils down to you need a bigger context window. So I think
Yeah.
that particular feature itself will have a transformative effect on how we do things.
Yeah.
So there are lots of news in here. Based on the time, I'm going to pick one. Which one should we talk about? Should we talk about the GitHub Copilot Pro Plus or talk about the MCP server that GitHub released? You pick.
I think we should do the MCP server.
Okay, cool. So GitHub has released a new open source their MCP server for GitHub, and this is I'm very excited about this. Let me share the link with this. I know MCP is the hotness out there. We did an episode a couple of weeks back just talking about MCP. I shared the link here. So assuming you understand MCP, right? This is just a quick 10 seconds overview. MCP is an open source, open standard protocol proposed by Anthropic, the creators of the Claude. This is a way for a protocol that allows LLM to integrate with tools and APIs. Okay, it's a very open standard. That means we can augment LLM to using this particular server. We can augment LLM to talk to GitHub now. This MCP server knows all the GitHub APIs. So if LLM asks, hey, I want to figure out what is the top issue on XYZ project. If that's what LLM prompts MCP server, MCP server will be able to figure out and translate, saying that, okay, that translates to this particular API and we should be invoking this API.
Okay.
So now if I do next version of, for an example, next version of Dev Agent, we do lots of GitHub API integration, obviously. All of these integrations I had to do it manually. right?
Yeah.
Manually, in the sense we build an API layer that knows understand, because LLM doesn't know. But with the MCP server, since this is an open source, we should be able to integrate and reduce some of the plumbing that we did, kind of automate that. So I'm kind of super excited about this one.
Yeah.
So I shared the link. Just go check it out.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, we should all check it out. You should check it out. MCP has been big. Everybody's talking about MCP, right? Everybody's talking about it. And it's really, really good that GitHub is integrating it. I mean, it's going to help a lot of us. I mean, most of the stuff we do at Tubian depends on GitHub.
So that's interesting, because most of this MCP essentially runs Rails as a local, right? So this is
Yeah.
kind of a server, old school kind of client server sort of architecture. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good, because our agent sort of runs locally as well. So
Yeah.
it will lend itself very well for integration.
Yeah. Talking about agents, let's get into the main thing for the day. Our main story. I've been excited about it. So if you follow Tubian on Twitter, you notice that I mean we've been tweeting a lot. We've told you that we had surprises for you. If you're on our Discord, I wrote like a very detailed, and that same thing. We're going to get a newsletter today. We also we have a blog post that is going out later today, because our dev agent is live. So just before Nelanjan starts talking about the dev agent, right? I want to give like a little bit of context. We, for over a year now, we've been talking about the Tubulian TOS, and the TOS for us is an operating system where we have multiple AI agents, that are going to work alongside the developer. It's more like a companion going to help you, work end to end for your developer career. It's more like having an AI that is going to take you from zero in your career to when you start earning enough money for you to do anything that you want to do. So if you look at Tubulian dashboard, right, we have multiple things. We have things like the 80/20, we have things like the dev agent, the job scope bylaws, and all those things. So all these things that you have on the Tubulian website, we are building them into this Tubulian operating system. That is why we call them the TOS. And inside the TOS, we have, on our own end, we've designed like multiple AI agents inside that we're going to be launching very soon with time. And these AI agents are supposed to do like specific tasks for you. And the big news is that we've launched our first AI agent of that particular TOS series. And the first agent is our dev agent. Last year, we hinted that we are launching this dev agent. We had some issues with distribution, and then we've been working around the clock to make sure that
We're a small team, yeah, exactly. We're a very small team.
And then we
Okay, so let me share my screen. Sorry, let me try to share my screen here.
While his team is coming up, his screen is coming up. Yeah, so that is it. It is out. You can check it out if you. I'm dropping the link currently in the chat. Once you log into your Tubulian dashboard, if you are not a Tubulian user, you should get on our
drop the TOS page directly. I think it's public, so let me do that.
It's public.
So
Yeah,
you should be able to. Yeah.
Just drop it on the chat. Yeah.
All right, cool. So this is the page you're going to get at. It's free for everybody. So we get free access with some limitation in number of calls you can make.
Just before you go on, can you expand your screen just so we can be able to see? Maybe make it full screen.
Okay, sure.
Make your console full screen. Yeah. Okay, this is better. Yeah.
Yeah. So so if you have a Tubulian account, you should have access to this. So there are lots of AI agentic tools out there. I just want to set a bit of context and the use cases for this agent so that you understand where it fits in your overall workflow. Obviously, there are lots of tools like V0, Lovable.dev, Replit agent. All of this kind of is at the top of the funnel, sort of. So if you have an idea, you want to quickly build out an MVP, you can interactively chat with those applications or agents, and it will generate an app for you. Okay. Now, let's say in that kind of funnel, one of this app took off, right? Your idea really stick. You have a really good business around it. Now you want to kind of grow and scale that out, right? This is where we are not moving out of vibe coding to some real software engineering, right? In that cases, you're going to be having a software development team, kind of taking over that application, scaling it, building it, adding more feature, all the good stuff. This is where, in that life cycle, this is where the AI, our Tubulian developer agent fits in. This is designed to work with a developer. Okay, this is designed to be operated by a technical person in your team. The goal of this agent is obviously to do type of work that human developers really doesn't want to do. That's always has been my goal, our goal to building this, right? We want to empower individual. So this is designed to work with legacy code bases. So it can look into your existing code base, figure out which files needs to change and change them. So it is great at refactoring bug fixes, right? You can even do triaging of an issue or a pull request. This has deep integration with GitHub. I'm going to show you some examples of that. So whenever you assign issues to this, it will go behind the scene, work independently, and raise and pull request. So that you are free to do what you're passionate about doing, and agent will work behind the scene. Keeping data and privacy in mind, because most of the time you're going to be working on a code base, you don't want to share your code with cloud providers, right? Because that's your secret sauce, that's your IP. So from the ground up, we designed it such a way that it runs local. So it's a console-based app. It's going to be running in your machine locally. So that gives you total control over what data gets shared, what not gets shared, right? So I'm going to, this is a doc. Once you, go ahead, Precious.
No. Go on.
Okay, yeah. So it has all the details.
Screen here, but it's moving now. I wanted to point out your screen, but I just figured it's moving now.
Okay, cool. So I have this agent installed. This is my terminal. When you download the agent, which is a Docker image, and you just fire it up, this will show up console like this. It will know your Tubulian ID, and you will have your specific access. This is all running locally here. This agent has typically two specific commands that probably all you need is one add when you want to add a new repository. So you want this agent to help you on a specific project. You add that project here. So most of these are pretty step-by-step guide. So for an example, let's say if I want to add a project here, I'll just say add. It will ask for a GitHub URL. Let me go. So we use agent to we use our agent to build our own stuff in here. So let me look into this here. This is a project I want to add. This is agent's project itself. So what it'll do is that it will reach out, figure it out what type of project it is. So this agent very much uses, since it's running in terminal, it has capability to run test cases, scripts, what have you. And it's looking for a build file. So right now we basically use Python. So we'll just say Python. Our dependencies are on the requirements of TXT. I'm going to fly through. This is all just, what do you call it? Just wizard you can prompt through. For verification, this is one interesting thing that we do when we changing your code in legacy code base or in your existing project. Agent needs to check if the changes make sense. So it will run some verification. That could be your unit test cases in your project, linter, or maybe custom shell script. For this project, I have a custom shell script. So I'll just say run checks.sh. So that's it. The project is added. If you want, you can add this agent as a part of a contributor to your project. In this case, it's already added. So that way, the agent will have a permission to raise pull request. All I now need to do is use the help command. Now, the help command is can do multiple things. you can specify an issue URL, just copy paste the URL. You can specify a pull request URL. For an example, let's say you created the pull request, but you want your agent to do some modifications. So just paste the URL, PR URL with some comments, and it will update your pull request. Or in this case, what I'm going to do, sometimes this is the workflow I follow, which might be helpful, is I always have this agent opened up in one terminal while I work on the other terminal. As I work through the projects, I always get this idea, oh, that part of the code looks really horrible. We should refactor it. Typically in workflow, we collect take dates, right? Typically what happens is, that would mean I have to go and create an issue. That means somebody else to work on, I'll forget about it. Now in this case, all I do is I'll just switch to this prompt. Here is one I have, I'll copy it for now. So I just realized when we do rate limiting for a certain thing, we are not generating events. So you can describe the issue almost like a prompt here. So when you hit enter, it will ask, okay, I get it, for which project this is. So I will just say this is for the TOS project. No, this is for the, no, this is for this project, sorry. The one that we just added. Now it will do its thing. Okay, so I'm done specifying the issue. I can move on to my work and do my thing. While it works behind the scene, it will try to figure out the issue. It will go through the steps. And the way we design this is the last thing I'm going to say because we're running out of time here. See, it's going through multiple steps in here. So that means it follows the same way that we solve an issue. So when you give it an issue, it's first thing it's trying to do is that it will try to triage the issue. Okay, is this issue related to this project first? Where it's related to which module? Because your project can have n number of modules. So all this processing going to happen behind the scene, and it's on its own doing it while you get to do other stuff.
Wow.
So that's a quick demo of the agent here.
Yeah, that's a quick demo, guys. So Neil, I have like a few questions just so that people can be clear on stuff.
Sure.
So then we are back to the screen here. All right. So a few questions. So does this work for private repository, or does it work for only public repository? And a company, let's say my guys are building a project in private repository, can we add this to it?
Yeah, so companies use this agent on their private repository. The version that we made available for everyone is restricted to work on public repositories. But if you have some use cases where you really want to use it, just ping us.
Okay. Okay. So what are the limitations for now, or is it totally free, 100% free? I can add unlimited project, run unlimited prompts. So what are the limitations?
I can add unlimited project. Only issue that only restrictions we put in here, obviously for many reasons, is that number of issues you can solve with this agent per week. So every user get a limited quota. That quota resets every Monday.
Okay, guys, you've seen it. Thank you so much. We need you to use this agent. Tell us what you think. Are you going to use it? Will you pay for it? Is it beneficial to you, right? So let us know these things. If we have these answers, it's going to help us to make these agents better, and we are going to present you with something more better for the next one. So we'll be launching our BizDev agent, which is like the part 2. Remember how I explained the TOS thing? And we'll have multiple agents that is going to help you from 0 to 100 in your career, right? So the next agent is going to be the BizDev agent, which is going to be the one that will help you land freelance gigs, right? So if you are interested in this agent, of course, you should know by now you should be subscribed to our YouTube channel. This is where our podcast happens. You should follow us on social media, be part of our community, and most importantly, make sure that you have a Tubian account, because everything that we are launching, everything that we're bringing to you is behind tubian.com, right? So let us know what you think in the comments. We will really love to have you here, and we really love to get your feedback from this agent, right? So thank you, Neil. Any last thing you want to say?
No, that's all good. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for hanging out with us today. See you next week. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so bye.